Namaskar, welcome. The choreography of Bharatanatyam is one of the major issues concerning you, because whatever you have studied so far and whatever you will go and create is based and will be based on what you have understood and physically experienced about creation and the choreography of the dances that you have learned and you will be doing. But in this process, what is correct, what is not correct, what is the success and not success is to be understood. Siddhi could be translated as success, denoting also the resultant empowerment from the performance. Siddhis are mainly two: Daiviki, that which is divine, and Manushi, that which is human. These terms denote different level of consciousness, says Dr. Kapilavatsyan, and in our language we may even interpret them as intuitive, inspirational, casual and discursive, supramental and mundane, gross or subtle, but not sacred and profane. The creative artistry can achieve all these three through discipline, training and inner control and the power of the mind over the body, and is therefore referred to as sadhaka. The audience cannot absolve themselves of the responsibility. Preparedness of both attitude and initiation into the technicalities is an essential prerequisite for the prekshaka, the viewer. Together in this great journey of creativity, the sadhaka and the prekshaka create rasa, the ultimate aim of Bharatanatyam. Now let's look at an example, a few of the kritis of Bharatanatyam, like the Padam. The second half of the recital of Bharatanatyam usually begins with representational Bharatanatyam with no rhythmic intrusions like in the Padam. We probably owe this term to the foremost composers of Padams, that is Kshetragya, who lived in the 17th century. The content is entirely fixed on a lovelorn heroine in various moods. The theme is of romance and explicit man-woman union as metaphor of devotion. The different aspects of Sringara or erotic love are elaborated in this piece. Nayaka-Nayika Bhava is by definition the theme of the Padam, and thus could be called a sublime symphony in Sringara. Padams are monuments of poetic artistry that serve as basis for expressiveness in Bharatanatyam. The Javli is another popular composition in Bharatanatyam. It differs only slightly in structure and theme to Padam. Javli is definitely a song of love, but unlike Padam, its expression is faster and more physical. The Javli has an affair decor for its theme, which is normally narrated by the hero or the heroine to the Sakhi or the friend. Unlike Padams, there is often a flash of humor and coquetry in Javlis. It eases the attitude of restraint and intensity of Padams. The words are clearly of equal importance in a Javli. There is no nritta. The song and the dancer are in the middle tempo, and the repetition of text is employed here to exploit the various shades of sentiments and ideas contained therein. Another dance song that has kinship with Padam and the Javali is the Daru. It bears general structure and thematic similarities with them. Daru is actually a phonetic deterioration of Dhruva, which is the name of any song employed in ancient drama, says Dr. K. Satyanarayan. The daru was usually composed in commemoration of the generosity or virtue of a patron, frequently a royal patron. This piece, therefore, actually weaves an imagined romantic heroic situation around a real person. It usually concludes with solfa passages, muktai swaras, or with shollu or both. The daru also has other structural peculiarities. It may or may not be set to a tala. Dance to a daru is a common to both purely operatic as well as dance drama presentations, but naturally preponderates in the matter. As is well known, the Gita Govinda is a Sanskrit text consisting of about 600 shlokas and 24 ashtapadis. The word ashtapadi is now synonymous with Gita Govinda, even though there are other later compositions simulating the same structure. An ashtapadi, as the name indicates, is a stanza of 8 lines. It paints a picture of immortal love, profound pathos, and timeless beauty. Dancers delight in performing these pieces that are primarily abhinay oriented with minimal or no nritta. Kritis are borrowed from the Carnatic music tradition. It is composed in 3 or more segments: Pallavi, Anupallavi, Charanam, or many Charanams. It frequently contains a Chittaiswara. The theme is mostly in praise of God and exhortation of his virtues. Most popular of the Kritis are compositions of Muthuswami Dikshitar, Shyama Shastri, Tyagaraja, and Annamacharya. The dance to a Kriti involves both nritta and nritya, and its choreography is fluid depending on the ability and taste of the dancer. Devaranamas, this is an exclusive Kannada song composed and spread by the Haridasas of Karnataka, such as Purandardasa, Kanakadasa, Vyasaraya, and others. It does not contain Chittaswara or Madhyamakala medium tempo. Its theme is God and often contains moral or spiritual precepts. It is usually set to a single tala, as in the Kriti. Each segment of the song is repeated in music and dance to bring out the latent aesthetics and expressive possibilities of and their associated ideation. Bhajans are a precious gift to Bharatanatyam of many North Indian composers. Mirabai, Surdas, and 8 other composers known as Ashtachap poets were very spiritual and sang the composed thousands of songs overflowing in Suguna Bhakti for their chosen idol. Most bhajans are in praise of Lord Rama or Krishna. Haveli Sangeet is Krishna Bhakti. This music is believed to have a psychic opening towards the divine. With their Divya Chakshu, divine vision, the poets of Delhi Mathura area visualize Krishna in all their magical and romantic grandeur. Haveli Sangeet could be a Drupad, a mere Shlok, Bhajan, or Kirtan sung in praise of the Lord. These are recent additions to the Bharatanatyam repertoire. A shloka is a Sanskrit metrical verse on any theme, mostly divine. It may contain a description, praise, or prayer. It occurs as the final item. What could be more appropriate than the culmination of a performance in the name of God, supplication, or surrender of the soul to Him? Also, the consideration of music in dance must be understood as a genre that is distinctive from the autonomy of concert music in both form and content. Dance brings to music an additional set of meanings, intentions, and a visual dimension that is otherwise not present. The musicians of the dance ensemble comprise at least one vocalist, a mridangam player, that is, or 2 or 3 other instrumentalists playing the violin, the flute, the veena and natuvanar, usually the dance master who plays small bronze cymbals, the talam, and recites the sholukattus. There can be no dance without music, even in an absolute dance like Tandava, which is performed to the accompaniment of pure rhythmic sound. The rhythmic syllables are sounded on a particular note, says and observes P. Shambhamurthy. Bharatanatyam has been traditionally based on Carnatic music. Carnatic music can be classified into Manodharma and Kalpita Sangita. Manodharma is an alap, tan, neraval, freely expressed non-metric improvisation to metric improvisations of the modal and melodic character of raga, simply elaboration of pure notes of a raga. Kalpita Sangita consists of compositions of great maestros. Kalpita Sangita again is divided into pure music and applied music. Pure music emphasizes on the musical techniques and variations, and the words and text is merely used to help the elaboration of a melodic pattern. In applied music, Sahitya or the text is given primary importance, and the musical technique is meant to help and enhance the appeal of the text. Music of Bharatanatyam belongs to the category of applied music. The compositions used in dance form have rich poetic value, and the music and the raga employed helps bring out the quality and intent of the poetry through the dance. As Rukmini Devi says, bhava means an inner experience. This emotion is harmonious with music and is in accord with it. If the music is of low order, expressing lower emotions, obviously the dance will be of similar nature. The Carnatic Tal, that is metrical foundation system, follows Shuladi Saptatalas, the 7 main tala. They are Dhruva of 14 beats, Mathya of 10 beats, Rupaka of 6 beats, Jhampa of 7 beats, Tripura of 8 beats, Atta of 12 beats, Eka of 4 beats. These are all taken with Chatushra Jati, and the signs, each one has their own sign with Lagu, Dhruta and Anudruta. For the recurrence of the tala in any accurate mathematical manner, a pattern is followed known as angas. There are 6 angas which are symbolically represented as Anudrutam. That symbol is U and it has 1 beat. Dhrutam is symbol O, which is 1 beat and waving of the hand, so 2 matras. Lagu is symbol 1 beat and counting of the fingers as per the jatis. Guru is symbol S, 1 beat of 4 counts and movement of the right hand with left closed fingers in clockwise directions. Pluta is symbol I, 1 beat lifting the right hand to left side, Krishya, and left hand to right side, Sarpini. Kakapadam has symbol S, 1 beat lifting the right hand upwards as Pataka Hasta and then adding Krishya and Sarpini. Of these 6 angas, only Lagu has variations based on jati, which is called Lagu Jati Bheda. The jatis are Chatushra 4 counts, Tishra 3 counts, Mishra 7 counts, Khanda 5 counts and Sankirna 9 counts. Due to this Lagu Jati Bhedas, there are 35 talas, rhythmic patterns in all. The maximum number of counts occurs in Sankirna Jati Dhruvatala, that is 29, and the minimum number of counts or aksharas is in Tishra Jati Ekatal of 3 matra. The selection of raga for Bharatanatyam is both more and less restrictive than it is for music concerts. The dictum is that a raga should not be repeated within a concert does not hold good for dance recitals. Rather, the concern is for the appropriatedness of the raga in creating the rasa aesthetic mood, in selection of the raga demanding of intellect rather than mood get precluded. The use of ragamalika or a garland of ragas is more in vogue than in standard concerts. Special to Bharatanatyam music is the Natavanar, the conductor. He or she plays what is called Natuvangam, the cymbals, and recites the Shollus. The cymbals are metallic pieces that produce the sounds when struck against each other. Cymbals are also called stalam, as the skillful handling of these in a recital provides the necessary cue for the dancer and the other musicians. The cymbal held in two hands are made of different metals. The left cymbal, slightly bigger in the size, is made of iron, and the right cymbal, smaller in size, used to strike the bigger one, is made of bronze or pancha loham. The Natuvana traditionally is the dance guru whose choreography is danced by the dancer, and under whose directions musicians perform. He is held in high esteem and is given prime importance in a recital. He not only plays the cymbals but also recites the jatis, korvais, and tirmanams. Sometimes dancers who choreograph their own pieces train Natuvanars to conduct recital, and they in turn are expected to give directions to the rest of the musical ensemble. The smoothness of the orchestral support in dance also always depends on the quality of Natuvangam and music. Vocal music has already been emphasized as an indispensable to Bharatanatyam. The vocalist has to modulate his or her voice in order to bring out the nuances and subtleties of the bhava in the song. Central to vocal music is also instrumental music, is Shruti, the pitch that is determined right at the very beginning, so all instrument in consonance with the vocalist. The percussion instrument used in Bharatanatyam is Mridangam. Its body is a hollow cylinder made of wood, usually of jackfruit tree, and covered on both sides with loaded membranes. Long strings of buffalo hide bend the rim of the sides of the instrument together. The head of the membrane on the right is permanently loaded with a paste of fine slit and has a black center circle. An outer circle of steamed rice paste surrounds it. The center of the membrane on the left is loaded with wheat or barley flour to ensure proper consonance with the main note. The percussion and the cymbals support the tal, the measure of time in music and therefore dance. The percussion and the cymbals are also responsible for the laya or stability and the constant within the measure of time. The melody instruments that normally accompany Bharatanatyam music are flute, violin, and veena. This helps in setting the right atmosphere for mood play and also in enhancing a melodic content of the music. In early last century, the instrumentalist and the vocalist were positioned at the back of the stage, while the Natunar always moved a short distance behind the dancer in all her movements, keeping time with cymbals. This tiring and somewhat awkward practice is now replaced with all the musicians, including the Natuvanar, sitting on the stage right of the main dancer. The way a society looks at art throws light not only on the art but also on society itself. The conflict of art and society is eternal. In this sense, art is a permanent revolution, a concept that invites vigorous investigation. All artistic creation is born of a question, a conflict, a discord with oneself and mankind. Every art is a challenge and a social commitment. It need not be conscious of any message, it is its own message. A work of art is at the same time an individual's achievement and a social fact. So is Bharatanatyam, however ancient and esoteric it may seem. Perhaps no other classical dance art form of India has undergone as many structural, sociological, and anthropological changes as Bharatanatyam. The entire scene has undergone and is undergoing major changes. The profile of today's performers is different. Literate, questioning, ambitious, they are ready to take on global audience. The profile of the audience has dramatically changed. No longer the Sahradaya, the emphatic enlightened connoisseur. The audience is a mixed group. Some actively interested, others not. Most attend performance of big names in the field, more to be seen rather than for any serious interest in the art form. Their response to performances merit a psychological study of collective responses, mass hysteria, than a discriminating assessment of the artist. The critics who have a plenty in the days of yore are a rare species now. It would not be too far fetched to say that most that masquerade as critics are PR agents that dancers seek for publicity. The changing patronage for dance is a serious issue. One thought that Bharatanatyam was finally freed when it was extricated from a feudalistic society and placed in the safe hands of the democratic state. But feudalism had its advantages. The feudal patron was a rasika, the initiated, and was a good judge of the merit of the artist. Not so the bureaucrat, the politician who represent the state. What Bharatanatyam needs is not just patronage, but discriminate patronage. The danger that classical arts are like Bharatanatyam face today is that money and power is with those that have no understanding at all of the aesthetic and the epistemological functions of the classical art, be it the state or more recently the corporate sponsor. Lack of understanding is bad enough. Worse is the pretensions of understanding. By its enormous money, power, awards, etc., the state and the corporate sponsor create an artificial popularity for the artist. As for the structural changes, the form has, of course, has changed. The tempo is faster, the items shorter to cater to an urban audience. No longer does the performance last for an entire 3 hours. Quicker, faster snippets of dance are performed to capture the interest of not only the uninterested but also the uneducated. In a classic art such as Bharatanatyam, like in games, understanding of the rules is the base to one's approach to it. Enjoyment of classic arts depend on a loose form of conscientious. Its success depends on what may be generally considered as the comprehension and retention. It replaces curiosity with the sense of knowledge, establishes assumptions, provides guidance or protocols for analytic procedure, and facilitates mutual understanding. Classic arts have their stimulus, crisis build up, and resolution in artificial conditions. Problems are set up and solutions offered. Also, a classic art clearly points and posits. There is a framework in which problems are solved. It is programmatic in a sense. To seriously understand Bharatanatyam, one should know the rules of Bharatanatyam, the aesthetic code of Bharatanatyam. And inside of these codes, can one see the difference between average, good, and better dancer? How? One grades them by one's knowledge of the codes and a sense of excellence with which the codes are managed. Otherwise, one neither knows the difficulties of the problem or the merits of its solution. In terms of aesthetic, it means that the epistemological functions of Bharatanatyam are inseparable from its aesthetic functions and from the notions of the beautiful and the ugly. You all have to keep this much a lot in mind and ponder over all these issues that we have discussed so far. Also particularly irksome is the demand for innovation. Flippant remarks like Bharatanatyam is out of touch with the times or the classical Naika portrayed in Bharatanatyam is demeaning to the image of the modern savvy woman are the often heard comments. A classic art like Bharatanatyam does not need stimulation outside its core to justify its seriousness or importance. Change is not a value counter in any art that is classic. Bharatanatyam artist has always been concerned with the eternal themes. Man's heroic deeds, his suffering, the upsurge of human spirit, man's fall due to arrogance and greed, likewise the triumph of true love, erotic love, betrayal, hurt, anger, resignation, reconciliation are regarded by the dancer in the light of universal human ideals. Through this, the dancer, importantly, helps break out of the dominion of blind necessity into the domain of spiritual freedom. Bharatanatyam gravitates towards the absolute in upholding truth and creating lasting values. Therefore, truthful portrayal of a reality is a subject of considerable argument. An artist's ideal is always historically predetermined, but it is always manifested in a subjective form. Artistic truth is life's truth, aesthetically interpreted. Dancers try to portray high profile structures of human life, love, friendship, anger, and destructions. Since it is mimetic and not verbal, classical dance, needing the dramatic, has to choose the most emphatic of these structures to convey the said moral behavioral rule. The artistic searches for the typical and the characteristic in an attempt to move towards the absolute. Quite frequently, the visualization of human drama in Bharatanatyam boils down to the man-woman structure, and invariably the Naika, heroine, is in Vipralamba Shringar of separation, desiring to move towards Sambhoga Shringar in union. And in the process of moving from loneliness to union, the attempt is to show as vividly as possible other bhavas, emotions that may be explosive contradictions but together reflect the mores of the said structure. Very often, there is the mention of other woman and the response of the Naika to the alleged or actual relationship of the Naika with the other woman is one of jealousy, hurt, aggression, but certainly not one of total non-acceptance. She might cajole, coax, seduce, threaten, abuse, but she will not file a case of bigamy. This manifests the ability of the art form to make independent discovery of truth and produce new meanings of interpreting reality. The story is not the quality in classical dance. To focus on the story to the exclusion of other aesthetic codes show one's ignorance of or snobbery. Many pretend to fear or disregard a perceived aesthetic schizophrenia. They urge Bharatanatyam dancers to change the stories to make new ones. To ask for a change in the story is to be unaware of one of the cardinal rules of classicism and truths of classicism. The stories are only a page to hang the entire aesthetic structure. Classicism does not hunger after the new, the up-to-date. Social storms are not always at the center of the classical dancer's attention. They need not be. Bharatanatyam is not meant to be a daily newspaper. Classicism seeks to create a complete whole, so complete that it has no need for immediate contact with or stimulation from outside reality. It creates its own time warp. The story only tests the ability of the dancer to project the bhavas, the expressions enshrined in classical aesthetics, the projection of which is shared by a seriously knowledgeable audience. Mastery here is self-contained phenomenon. Completeness is an indispensable condition of mastery. Completeness of movements, images, ideas, and the aesthetic content of the work is a measure of mastery and expressiveness. Those who advocate and uphold the so called contemporary in Bharatanatyam to the exclusion of this notion of correctness, mastery, lack simple perceptions. And it is only the Philistine who worries about dancing to a modern poet's work, or to an ancient poet's work, or to Hindi poetry, or to Tamil, Telugu, and Kannada poetry, and therefore upgrades or downgrades an artist. Of course, the human mind constantly aspires for newer things, and just as society is continuously changing, so is art. Bharatanatyam is a living, dynamic tradition and is continuously adapting, imbibing, expanding each time a creative artist works with its tools intelligently. The emphasis here is to know the tools well enough to be able to rearrange or extend its reach responsibly. Thank you.